Hello everyone and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is Liam and I'm here with my co-host George.
Hello Flawless fans.
Every episode of Flawless, a host or a guest nominates an album that they think is flawless and we discuss how they discovered it, what they love about it and what makes it flawless for them. We have a Facebook group, it's called Flawless Friends and Family, and it's where we discuss all things music that we love and that you love, and we post in there about upcoming episodes and what albums are nominated. You can find the link in our show notes.
And you can also say, hey, wait a second, we did not love your result of that Flawless episode.
No, you can call us nonsense poo-poo heads and
Yeah.
say you got it all wrong.
You could.
Just like George does to me all the time.
I do. I call Liam a poo-poo head or other such words.
Yeah.
But no, usually I just go, oh, Liam, you did a Liam again. So, yeah, it's fine.
Doesn't feel fine, but that's okay. We also, and of course we have a Patreon. You can back us from as little as $1 a month and you get early access to our episodes, access to our bonus episodes, and that warm fuzzy feeling inside that you're helping us spread the Flawless love. And you can find that at patreon.com/flawlessamp.
You did not say that with an ounce of love.
Oh, sorry.
You can fuzzy feeling inside.
Warm fuzzy feeling inside.
Like, I know you're reading from a piece
warm,
of paper.
fuzzy feeling inside
Wow,
that you are helping us spread the love.
Yay!
That better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thank
Awesome.
you.
So, I am hosting, but it is not my turn to nominate an album.
Gosh.
We have guests.
Plural.
Plural guests. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes. Hello, my name is Connor Harris, and I am the drummer for the band Nadir.
I'm Jake Mallet, and I'm also from the band Nadir. I'm not the drummer, but
We don't
I
have
am
two
the
drummers.
bassist.
Yeah.
We got the low end theorist.
I love bands with double drummers. There just needs to be more double drum bands. I just
More
have to
double
say.
drums.
Well,
You could be Tilly on the wall and have a tap dancer on your soundboard.
If you saw me drum or you saw me tap dance, you might not agree for me to be the second drummer, but we could do something there.
But we've got the rhythm section of Mount Nadir.
Yes.
We have the rhythm section of Nadir in the building.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So you are... Can we stream you? Can we
Yeah.
listen
What kind of
to
stuff do you do?
You can definitely stream us.
Yeah, we're on all streaming platforms,
all
I believe.
good streaming
Yeah.
platforms.
Got 3 songs out. EP is soon to be out.
Nice.
So,
You got any shows and stuff coming up?
We've playing a show 22nd of April on Saturday.
Okay. This won't be out by then.
Might not be
This is
out.
like
so
4
that
weeks in the past.
that show's
Can I
already
come
on.
there?
Yeah,
You can, yeah, of
You
course.
can come.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
can come. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have
We're-
a future plan.
Definitely
Which
come.
is a past plan by the time everybody hears this.
Yeah, I have a past plan. It was great. It
George
was a
did or
fucking
did
good-
not go to that gig.
Yeah, it was such a good show.
We might as well plug our furthest away gig, which is July 1st. So if that episode is
Yep.
out by then,
Yeah,
we might-
definitely will be by then.
Yeah.
We might not have even announced it then, so this could be like an exclusive.
Wow.
We love exclusives.
July 1st.
Where?
July
Where
1st,
and when?
Bearded Lady.
Okay, nice.
Bearded Lady, love that place. West End.
Yeah,
in
that's the
Brisbane.
one. Yeah,
I
great
used
venue.
to play there like as a house band.
Yeah,
In a folk band. But anyway,
I
I'm
meant like
not...
a house, like a doof doof.
Yeah.
No, not
was
a
like,
duff duff
yeah.
band. Like we used to just play like all the time, like on a Saturday afternoon because we were inoffensive.
Yeah.
Because we were just like folky country, and we had 2 pretty girls in the front, and
Yeah.
so they were like Bearded Lady used to bring us in all the time just to
Yeah.
play inoffensive music at the front, just so they could say that they had live music, quote unquote. However, you guys play real music. And Mount Nadir is spelt Mount Nadir.
Nadir.
that's the one. Yes.
So we can find you on Facebook and Instagram and all the usual places.
Yeah, so
we'll put some
Facebook-
links in our show notes and stuff.
Yeah, Facebook we're mt.nadir, and then Instagram we're mountnadir, which we didn't do to confuse people. It was just MT Nadir was already taken by someone, so we went with mount.
We will be suing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Cool. All right. Would you
So
like
we've
to
got worthy
tell us?
guests.
Yes, we have musicians
We've
joining
got
us.
actual Brisbane musicians.
Music
They're-
royalty.
They're young people too.
They are. It's been freaking me out a little bit. They've been here around for a while, and I'm just like,
I know it's past
so
their
old.
bedtime.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime. Would you like to tell us what album you're nominating today?
This one is Twin Fantasy by Seat Headrest.
Whoa!
Thanks.
That's all right.
Nice, great work.
Thank you
Face-
for...
Face to face.
Well, yeah, so it's the face-to-face
2018
version. So it's
version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
Mirror
which
to Mirror
is
is a
which is
2011
important
version.
it
because
is important.
there was a self-recorded version.
So
Yeah.
this album
It's a weird one.
verges on not being able to qualify to be nominated
Because it's a covers album.
because it's like, so what we do is we're looking for albums, so we don't do like soundtracks, compilations, and
Yeah.
stuff. Someone had to sit down and go, this is an album, or someone or some people had to sit down and go, this is the album, this is the one I want to put out, it sounds like this is the track order, these are the songs, here it goes. This one covers, I hadn't thought about it as covers, but it kind of is. But it's a second shot at an album. It's like, and I know he didn't change a lot of things like that he could have. He didn't go, I didn't like the track order after all, so I've changed the track order or changed the lyrics. That stuff. Like, it's the same, quote
However,
unquote, the same songs.
I am going to counter a previous episode where we did the really funky band that do cheerleader chants and have a song called Grandmaster Flash or something like that. And it's gonna come to me.
Okay.
But they basically created an entire album of samples, and then they had to re-record all of their samples in order to turn it into an album that they could release.
Was that Fun Loving Criminals?
No,
'Cause
it
they
was
kinda had to do a bit of that.
Fun band, and they've got an African American singer. They're really
Go
young.
Team?
Go Team.
The Go Team, yes.
Yeah, the Go Team. Yes. So the Go Team had to re-record their entire album because all their samples were robbed.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to use them.
So and we still did the episode.
Yes, so we're doing the episode. It hasn't, but tell us about Car Seat Headrest.
So my first experience with Car Seat Headrest was I think the third or fourth track. I think it might be third, but don't quote me on that. From Teens of Denial, which is another one of their albums. Destroyed by Hippie Powers.
Nice.
And yeah, so I've heard that one and then I loved it. Showed it to one of my friends. He's like, yeah, I love that song too. You should check that out. Check that album out. And I feel like at the time they had a lot of their older lo-fi stuff, but the two albums that were like the ones that were like big, been done in the studio, all of that, was Teens of Denial and the 2018 Twin Fantasy. And Teens of Denial was the one that I kind of probably rocked with first, and I was like really into that, and that was the one. And then eventually I started delving deep into Twin Fantasy, and for me, I feel like that's the one that, like, as a project as a whole is just like, yeah, insane.
Yeah, cool. And how did you get into Car Seat Headrest?
How did I get into Car Seat Headrest? I think I initially heard the song Drunk Driving Killer Whales, which was also on Teens of Denial. Yep. And I was listening to that for ages. And it was then that I delved into Twin Fantasy right after. And I thought I had a bit of an opposite kind of path through it, where I was listening to that album way more than Teens of Denial and thought that was their best album through and through. Then I changed my opinion to Teens of Denial, but now recently I've come back on board for Twin Fantasy. So
yeah, you could throw both albums in there.
Yeah,
They're both
yeah.
so incredible to me.
Yeah.
it's
So
same goes
bit of
for
a
me.
description just so people understand what's happening here. So Will Toledo is he's the lead singer of the band Car Seat Headrest, but when he first started out, he was Car Seat Headrest on his own. He played all the stuff, did all himself, recorded it all himself, did it all in lo-fi, put out 4 albums in 1 year, 2010, just called 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then put out 4 more albums over the next few years as well. Touring and stuff, he always had a band with him, never really settled on the one band. He always was changing people up, people fall in, fall out, do whatever. And eventually he got to a point where, and I think it was people around him like, dude, you've got to settle down. You got to pick a band, settle down, live life in the suburbs, picket fence the whole lot. So he picked the guys that he's got on this album, which is Sean Dolby on bass, Ethan Ives on guitar, and Andrew Katz on drums. And I think the first album they played on was Teens of Style, which was the ones before Teens of Denial. So before that, it was just all of them. And so, so they put out Teens of Style, Teens of Denial, and then he was like, well, I guess we can go back and re-record Twin Fantasy, which he'd put out as a solo group project in 2011. And so they sat down and they re-recorded all the parts with the band actually playing, and a proper studio and a proper mixing and mastering and everything. And that's what this album is. So that's the one you've nominated.
And I did not know any of that, and I
Right.
thought he played all of it.
Oh, this album?
Yeah.
No. So he used to up until 2 albums before this. It was
Because
all
he is a
him.
multi-instrumentalist.
Yes, he can do it all, and up until that point, he had done it all.
So he had written it all, but
And on the
someone else played it.
And on the first version of this album, he played it all.
Okay.
And then he was like, okay, now that I've got a real band, let's re-record it. So it's...
So have you guys listened to the one that he did all himself?
Yeah, the one
Is
that
it
sounds like it was
much-
recorded on a
Is it
phone.
much?
Yeah.
It's very like
Yeah.
lo-fi.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's super.
Okay.
So it's... As far as I didn't listen to the whole thing in the 2 album, but as far as I can tell, it's mostly the same music, the same melodies, the same lyrics, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just recorded with all 4 parts, done by the different people, that sort of thing.
Because the original Twin Fantasies album was him. That's where the name Car Seat Headrest came from, I believe, was that he was just in his car, just screaming out all these angsty, teenage lyrics. And he actually recorded that album in his car. With the lyrics anyway, the vocals.
The vocals, yeah.
And so that is why it
He
kinda
recorded
sounds
the
way it
rest
does.
in his parents' house in suburban Virginia and his own dorm room.
In the old dorm room
He
cupboard
wrote-
recording.
He wrote it when he was 19 years old. So, I think back to when I was 19, and I'm like, what a fucking disgrace of a human I was at 19 when he's already put out, he put out
This was-
9 things online.
Yeah.
And then
So Twin Fantasy, the first version, was his 6th album in
So-
2 years. So
Matador. So we know we love talking
We do love
about
Matador.
labels.
yeah,
Matador founder Chris Lombardi signed him within a week of listening to his Bandcamp. Mm-hmm. So Matador, for context, are Belle and Sebastian, Queens of the Stone Age, Arab Strap, Boards of Canada, Interpol Pavement, Dizzy Rascal, which was like an edge case, Modest Mouse, Mogwai, Pretty Girls Make Graves, who I love too much. Even did Teenage Fan Club and Sonic Youth, Dalek, Lou Reed, and fucking Sleater-Kinney. So Matador is a record label that I love and adore.
George,
Hello.
had you heard of Car Seat Headrest before the name got dropped in, and or heard any of their music?
I would like to signify to the listeners that I have a very solemn look on my face.
Okay.
Because no, I had not heard Car Seat Headrest, Twin Fantasy, nor any other album of his prolific back catalogue, despite him being on Matador.
Yes.
And despite this coming out in 2018. So this was a complete new listen to me.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I was a bit pissed. But yeah, complete new listen. Liam,
Cool. Yes.
you heard
I
Car Seat
did.
Headrest?
Yes. So I think I had a similar experience to you guys because Teens of Denial, I think it might have been Vincent, started appearing on my Spotify playlist.
Great song.
Such a great song.
Yeah.
So a couple of songs from the Teens of Denial started showing up. Yeah, grabbed that album, loved it. Listen to this one. I must have listened to it at the time, but I have no memory of reacting to it whatsoever. So when I was listening to it now, I was like, I kind of remember hearing these songs before, but I couldn't go
Did you
into
own
specifics. Not this one. Teens of Denial, I definitely do, and it was probably
Okay.
like one of my favorite albums of that year.
2016, great year. 2016.
2016.
Do
2016.
you love 2016?
Yeah, we could do a
I
separate
love
episode.
I love 94. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think mine's like 99 or 2001, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 2000 was really good too.
If you ever do a years episode, get me in. I'll come in and I'll fight for 2016.
2016, yeah, nice.
2016, okay.
So, have you seen them live?
Unfortunately not. So I think the year I got into them, which I think was 2019.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Either they came that year or the year before. And
Year
I
before.
and I missed
March-
them. So
in
I was
March.
like, shit, if I had been into them like a year before, I would have been able to see them live. But
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
How about yourself? You
No,
didn't-
I've never seen them live. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I have seen them live. Sorry.
I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
mixed
You bastard.
reviews.
Yeah, I think because he's definitely one of those sort of auteur,
Yeah.
can have a good night, can have a bad night kind of guys. But they played down at the Triffid in March 2018.
Yeah.
Off the back of this album coming out, and so it was more of this album than Teens of Denial. But yeah, it went along. Great time. Yeah, everybody sung along to a couple of the tracks off here, like the My Boy, the Twin Fantasy. Everyone just like singing along. Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, they put on a good show.
That would have been sick.
Which was
I'm
really cool,
jealous.
which was
I
really
can
cool.
imagine it's an epic show. So
Yeah.
like like really annoyed that I've not.
He loves his big mammoth constructions. We'll obviously go into the individual songs soon, but he just has that idea of like, this is what you would quote unquote normally do with a song, or this is what you would normally finish it or start another song or whatever. He just has no interest in. He's just like, I'm happy with my big mammoth constructions. The same on Teens of Denial as well. He's got a few like really big songs on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works really well.
So it didn't chart, but on Pitchfork it's 8.6 out of 10. Guardian gave it 4 out of 5. Metacritic is 87%, and AllMusic is 4.5 out of 5. But it didn't chart to my knowledge.
No.
Anyway. And as I will reiterate, he wrote it when he was 19, and I am pissed.
Yeah. So I think that idea with that I spoke about before about whether or not it could qualify as being nominated, I think the fact that they kept it the same songs in the same order with the same lyrics and the same instrumentation helps. Because if they were like, oh, we've redone the album, but we've decided actually this is a better track list and this song sounds better, and I took that out of this song, then that would be like, okay, no, now you're having a second bite of the cherry. But I think the fact that it was just like, no, we just want to make it sound better and sound proper, I think.
I don't think Will would have let them change anything.
No, that's what I mean. His intent was to re-record, not quote unquote improve on it. He was just like, we just want to make the same album again. And I had heard rumors that he was actually going to do that on a bunch of his back catalogue as well, which he hasn't done so far, because they did another album in 2020 that wasn't that.
Keeping it all less, making
it all less open. Yeah. So I think, but I'd heard rumors at the time that like his 1, 2, 3, 4, he was going to go back with the full band and re-record and re-release those. But so far, this is the only one that he's done that with.
It's very divisive with a lot of the fans. I know a lot of the older fans just only like that 2011 version and whatnot. But I do think me coming in later, the 2018 version is, and it kind of it is simple, but it sounds better.
I think it's an album that deserved the production that it got with the 2018 version.
Yeah.
And
I can
he
definitely
did a lot
see-
of the production himself.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty sure he mixed like it as well.
So he does like all of that. So he is one of those. There's a word for it where you were just like completely competent in every musical instrument, and you just hear the music and can play it. And so there's like an auto musical blah 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 or whatever. But so boys, I'm going to call you boys because you are younger than me by a substantial amount. 10 songs, 1 hour, 11 minutes. So if I was to not enjoy this album, and I have to listen to it on multiple occasions, and it's going to take me over an hour, which is more than the most TV episodes I watch. It's a plucky choice from you guys to say 10 songs warrants over an hour of these fine people's time.
I take the gamble.
Took the gamble? Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into it.
Especially when there's a couple, like the opening song, My Boy, is only 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the Stop Smoking straight after the big second one is only a minute and a half. So it's like, there's a few short songs in there, which just makes the other ones even longer.
Yeah.
So, can we talk about Beach Life in Death?
Yeah. Quote unquote, the first single. Except there's no way they actually released this as a single in any way, shape. Like, maybe it got uploaded to Spotify or something, but you don't put this on a CD or send it to radio stations or any of the stuff that you would normally associate with a single.
So it starts with him opening a can as well. Like, it's just like opening a can. I'm just like, oh, really? It's like that, is it? You're just like so plucky in how you're going to present this. And I was thinking to myself, because I'd never heard it before, I appreciated the oohs and ahs in My Boy, and that sultry vocals and repeating lyrics, but I wasn't sure. When I saw that it was 13 minutes and 18 seconds long, I was like, this better be Bohemian Rhapsody. So your first listen of that track, did it feel like a 13-minute track, or did you immerse yourself, or what?
It's definitely one of those songs you immerse yourself in, I think.
Yeah, for me, Beach Life and Death is my favorite song on the whole record. It's one of my favorite songs ever.
Oh, that's a strong statement.
It is, yeah.
I like
And
it.
it is, it's just one of those songs that, like, does not feel like 13 minutes. Like, I think Will is, like, one of the few people that can actually, you know, make an album that has 15, 20-minute songs on it, and have it kind of, like, flow in a way that makes you comfortable with sitting down and listening to a 20-minute song.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna say, I mentioned Bohemian Rhapsody because that's actually like 5 songs put together,
Yeah.
and it's an operetta. So, and it's presented as an operetta. And I would say that Beach Life in Death is presented like an operetta where there are movements
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it, where
I
he
agree.
moves through periods.
Yeah.
And there are repeating themes that keep you comfortable, but he definitely moves between different sounds and different lyrical content to take you on a journey. So when I saw it was 13 minutes and I put it on, I actually went, "Oh, they're over already?"
Yeah.
So it
Didn't feel 13 minutes.
Didn't
Yeah.
feel like a 13-minute track. Like, my attention span, I have ADHD. Like, I don't really deal with like long things, but that was absolutely awesome. So it opens a can, but then rocky guitar and vocals. I felt like it had a bit of the Ramones to it.
Yeah, and
Like this sort of like nerdy punk
that
sort of
burst
stuff.
kind of feel.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of, like when he says last night I drilled it up as fairies and I thought I'd bite you. I could see that in the start. Yeah.
Yeah, that just had it just had that kind of like movement that made me feel like it was Ramones-esque, which did not continue.
He's so verbose. That's the other thing too. Like there's so many lyrics in all of the songs. Like
Yeah.
he spits lyrics so quick, like not rapping or anything, but they're so fast.
Yeah.
For the listeners at home, I handwrite my notes, and I can usually fit 4 songs onto a page.
Yeah.
I used half an A4 page just writing about Beach Life in Death because there was so much to get through. So there is call and response vocals. Fucking love that.
Yep.
So there was a guitar solo which sounded exactly right. The bass was high in the mix. Preach!
Let's go.
Let's go, bassist. So, bass was high in the mix, so that was really good. The rushing drums, shouting behind the vocals, which really reminded me of like 2000s punk, like brand new. There's like a lot of that. Big build, rushing guitars, rolling, rushing, frantic drumming, effects on the vocals, movement change. And it's just, and he shouts like, I was like, I don't want to go insane. I don't want schizophrenia.
Well, there's so much in that track, insanity, but like the whole album in itself is like it's dealing with the obsessiveness of teen love and all these crazy emotions, and the song perfectly captures it. Like there's so many lines in there where he says, "Last night I dreamed he was trying to kill you. I woke up and I was trying to kill you," and just stuff like that, which is like really over the top, obsessive, crazy, but it really kind of pictures like this disaster that teen love can be sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a breakup song.
Yeah.
It was like a 16-minute epic operatic 3-movement breakup. It's not just I'm sad you dumped me or I'm sad we're not together. It's like there's a lot of stuff in here, and then his own reaction to the way that he feels. He does that a lot in this album, where it's like, here's how I feel and here's my mental health reacting to how I feel and stuff. So one of my favorite lyrics from this song, which is like so many. It's not enough to love the unreal. I am inseparable from the impossible. I want gravity to stop for me. My soul yearns for a fugitive from the laws of nature.
We
They're my
said
favorite lyrics on it.
So cool.
we said we hated humans. We wanted to be human.
Yeah, I love that.
Repeated,
Love that line.
repeated
Perfect line.
harmonies in there. Sexy guitar strumming, full band with more O's and O's. And then
It's like it's impossible to describe it the way we normally describe it because it's this mammoth
I know
Yeah.
construction thing. Like
There
it
was-
just defies description.
there was a thing that there's like a long passage that is much quicker by him, but a book of Aubrey Beardsley corrupted my youth, and now I'm trapped inside my youth, and you're in love with late stage youth. Thank God for the little things, and fuck God that they're little things I am.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's such a powerful big statement in such a
Yeah.
short space of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it started with Aubrey Beardsley, who is an incredible Art Nouveau artist, by the way, friends with Oscar Wilde. And I have an Aubrey Beardsley mug. And so I was just like, you're quoting like someone that died in 1898. An obscure artist, well, not obscure, but yeah, like saying that Aubrey Beardsley is corrupted your youth, you're stuck in youth, you love my youth, oh fuck this, and fuck God. And it was just like all that stuff in one thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, frantic. I had to pause the track because I couldn't write it down quick enough.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Then there is a drum and bass moment. Where did that come from? He just dropped D&B into this epic anthem, but then it's really brief, with more like indie vocals and frantic repeating lyrics with full band, and then the last 4 seconds is just electro. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you wrote all of that? Like, it just blew my absolute mind, and I can see why it's one of your favourite songs of all time.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like whenever I have a semi-long drive, I'm putting that song on, and it just
Nice.
makes it that much quicker.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think my equivalent of that is the one on the Teens of Denial, so the Ballad of Costa Concordia.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
16
Another
minute
great
mammoth
song.
construction is
Yeah.
just like, that's my version of that, of just putting it on, just blissing out 16 minutes, singing along the whole thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And there's O's, there's uh-ohs, uh-ohs, and
But
then
that's
it
the thing,
drops.
like, it's a 16-minute song. He did everything.
He got everything.
He's
in
got
there.
it.
Got everything
all the
in
bits.
there.
And it's like you listen to that song, and sometimes you can listen to really long songs, and you're like, oh, maybe you could have shortened that. I don't think there's any of that you could have shortened.
No, well, he does a mixture of long prose, like I just said, and
Yeah.
then he'll do short, sharp, repeating lyrics.
Yeah.
And he mixes it up depending on the mood of that particular like instrumental sound.
Yeah.
And he obviously uses his voice as another instrument to the music. He doesn't just sing along. He has perfect melodies that complement the melodies
Yeah.
of the guitar and of the bass, and when the piano comes in and
Yeah.
stuff.
Has anyone ever done King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson?
No. No one's made that yet.
Using that as an example, I love that album, by the way. But the only reason I wouldn't say it was flawless is because of Moonchild, which is a really long
Oh,
song.
yeah.
They have this real staticky thing at the end, and sometimes I feel like when an artist has like a super long song, there'll be something in there which usually like serves a purpose in their mind. For me, sometimes that doesn't necessarily hit as much. But yeah, I feel like in all of Will Toledo's songs, and especially in this album, they're long, but like every moment is so important to
Yeah.
what the
Yeah,
song
definitely.
And the
is.
whole thing's carefully constructed, not just
Yeah.
long for the sake
Yeah.
of being
Or-
long.
Because I listen to Rush, and Rush has some really fucking long songs,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'm like, no, it's just a 7-minute Neil Peart solo,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
all. That's
legit.
all
Yeah.
the song is, and
Yeah.
then there's a first chorus at the
Yeah.
beginning and end of that. But
Yeah.
but this has purpose.
No, I feel
And
terrible for calling that King Crimson.
No,
No,
We
that's-
still love you,
that's
King
good.
Crimson.
Yeah.
we still love you, King Crimson. It's like not everyone makes perfect records.
Yeah.
And not everyone can do long songs and get
Yeah.
away with it. And to write this when you are a plucky, complicated,
Yeah,
hormonal
Yeah.
teenager.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Yeah,
Living
that's why
at
I still
home.
can't wrap my head around is how
Yeah.
young he was when he wrote it. I
Yeah.
remember they I was looking into it a bit just in this album, and Will did a Reddit like AMA randomly, and one of the questions was just, how the hell do you write such long songs like all the time, and how do you make it work? And he just said, you just make one like melody, and then you just like kind of see where that goes, and then you just make another one, and then you just kind of put it all together. And it's like, fuck you, man. Like, it's not that easy. Like, it's just that
I
is
always do get a
ridiculous.
vibe from their songs that it's like he starts a lot of stuff with jam sessions. Like, I'm just going to play a melody, and then we're going to expand on the melody, and then eventually it'll turn into a real song. But it starts its life as a thing where he's just going to add random bits onto it and tack stuff on and see how it goes.
It really reminds me of jazz composers.
Mm-hmm.
So in jazz, where you have like people jamming in a movement, but then like there'll just be one click of a snare drum, and everyone knows that they need to drop and leave it to the clarinet.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll do. But that's like a group of people collaborating. But Will just went, I'm going to write the guitar line as a bass for this one, or I'm going to write the bass line as the bass for this one, which he's done. Like in some of the tracks, he's literally, the prominent instrument is the bass melody that he sings over. And then he's like, oh, I should probably have a bit of guitar in here.
Yeah.
And it's like, who does that?
Yeah.
Like, who writes a song that way? And then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm also really good at drums.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about having an entire song which is based around being a really good drummer. So I'm going to do that and add the other instruments, and everything's going to sound really fucking polished. If I'm spitting into the microphone, it's partly jealousy and partly actual spite.
Yeah. So, in case you were wondering, this isn't his only long song on this album either. He bookends them with the album with the two Mammoth constructions. So
With
it's
famous prophets.
Famous prophets.
Yeah.
16 minutes 10.
yeah. So this one, because it's got a little bit of stuff at the end of it, so it's not quite as like consistent music all the way
Yeah.
through. It's got a bit of an outro thing to it.
But it
But yeah,
starts with
lots of different sections,
Fuzzy-
repeated refrains, big pop-offs, cut right back for a couple of minutes, then bring them all back in again. Just that same construction of like, yeah, almost like a jam band to start off and just see how it goes.
It was starting with just bass fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not bass fuzz, like bass line, but with a fuzzy pedal,
Yeah.
like a muff or something.
Yeah.
And then the vocals don't come in for 30 seconds of that. The drums don't come in for another minute, and they're really minimal. And they play an opposition rhythm to the bass. And then the full band, I said full band in quotations because I wasn't sure that they were a band, come in at minute 30 with dreamy guitars for like 30, and then it drops back again to the layered vocals.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
like, construction does a young person write this? And then it goes really big at 3:45, drops at 5:30 to bass and minimal guitar plucks with vocals, then just a few hi-hats, builds to 8:30, repeating choral with frantic shouting. It sounded like cursive with less venom. Piano,
Yeah.
heart.
Just out of nowhere, just like
Yeah.
'cause I don't think there's any piano on any of the other songs. So just
Yeah.
randomly, this song just cuts out everything, and it's suddenly just a piano.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so there's
what the hell?
Piano, and then quotes from a movie called All Summer in a Day by Reese Mullen about love. And there are two quotes in there. So one at around that 10-minute mark, and one which is the outro, so sample from the movie. But in it, there's like yelling, a huge onslaught of all instruments, and then there are lyrics.
Don't get too impressed, you might lose your breath. Don't predict your death, 'cause I like you the best.
And
Nice.
I was like, that's really kind of like, don't put me on a pedestal.
Yeah. So he also repeats the line. So we didn't talk about it, but in the first song, or the second song, he talks about the ocean washed over your grave, the ocean washed open your grave, and then he repeats that. Like that's the end of the song. Is that those two lines repeated like 10 times or something?
Yeah.
And then he repeats that line again in this song. So that's where that real bookend effect of like,
Yeah.
not only are these two songs mammoth on their own, they're kind of constructed together,
Well,
like to be partners.
he has a similar. Well, in the third song, I think it is on the album, "Stop Smoking, We Love You." Obviously, the whole song is "Stop
Yeah.
Smoking, We Love You." Stop smoking, we love you.
We don't want you to die.
Yeah, you go into track number 8, "High to Death," where he says, keep smoking, we love you. Keep smoking, keep
Yeah.
smoking, I still love you, but I don't want to die. So basically, it's kind of, I feel like the whole album is, that first half is that obsessive love, and it's like pouring it out, this kind of teenage angst. And then the end half of the album, it's almost like this realization that it's kind of over and it's like done.
Yeah. Well, the name
yeah.
of the album comes from Famous Prophets, with the sample from the movie where she says, "For now we only see reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face." So the first version of this album was called Twin Fantasy Face to Face, and then when they re-released it on Matador, they decided to call it Mirror to Mirror, still in reference to that one quote.
Yeah.
So he must love that movie.
Is it that? I don't know if it's that way around or if this one's face to face and the first one
This
was
one's
mirror
face to
to mirror.
face.
Oh, this one's face to face. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry,
That's all good.
got me
It's
away
hard. It's
on-
hard because their covers are basically identical.
Yeah,
and
they're
like
pretty
just a
much-
slight tweak to the graphic, and then
Yeah.
the names are identical. Like
Names
it's
are-
just
Yep.
it's hard to put all this stuff together.
I know. He's a complicated man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Um,
a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it leads in, so you leave Famous Prophet with like this quote from a movie, and it's all kind of hissy as if it's on a VHS or something like
Yeah.
that.
And the text is from Corinthians 1:13 as well.
Oh,
So
is
it's
it?
it's a Bible quote that she's saying.
Oh, sweet. I had to read from Corinthians at my brother's wedding, and I wasn't smited, so we're all good. But then it moves into Twin Fantasy, the final track, organ. There's just, it starts with organ, so you just left a movie quote and we're leading into organ before the vocals start, and I'm like, where did this come from? You've only just started using the organ as well.
Yeah.
You had a surprise piano earlier, and now you've got an organ, and now I'm pretty sure you can play them as well. So even if you got other musicians to play it on this
Oh yeah, so he
record.
can. Yeah, I have no doubt he can do
Yeah.
everything that happened on this album. It was just more about not having to do that workload, I guess.
And he has a slow drawl vocals on that, with big layers and sound, like for an epic ending,
Yeah.
a 7-minute track.
And
And it felt like a breakup song.
I kind of like how, well, the first line is, "My boy, we don't see each other much," and then it says, "We won't be alone again." And it kind of like starts off in like almost this positive sense, but as this obsession overtakes him throughout the album, and you eventually have this crash, and then it comes down to the final song where the starting line is, "I haven't looked at the sun in so long, I've forgotten how much it hurts you," which I kind of see as him facing reality now and just being like, it's obviously just blasted him.
Like he's been hiding
Yeah.
in his room for
Yeah.
however long. And
But I feel like it's really, the whole album is such a like train wreck of love.
Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
got any
I-
other songs you're like real favorites you want to mention? You
There's
talk about?
one song, I think it might be, I'm not sure if it's Bodies or Cute Things.
So Bodies is kind of the digital drums and the mod rock sort of
Yeah.
stuff to open.
loopy guitars, drum machines with electric guitar lines. And it's got that section where he says, "Is it the chorus yet? No, it's just the building of the verse. So when the chorus does come, it'll be more rewarding."
Yeah.
Nice.
no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just written by someone who's
Yeah.
too smart.
Yeah. Nerd. Big nerd.
Big nerd at
yeah.
music.
But,
who just knows how to write a pop song.
Just the short one is there's no devil on one shoulder and angel on the other. They're just two normal people.
Yeah.
Like I just love that imagery of like they're not like it's not like, oh, I'm being tempted, I'm being saved, whatever. It's like they're just people who want things from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I love in the track listing is how it goes from Bodies is, don't you realize our bodies could fall apart at any, which is kind of like,
Like
almost
very
this
existential dread. Yeah.
Crash, we were lovers. No, we were train wrecks until we crashed into each other. I forget which song that's from, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the earlier tracks. But then, so he basically has this romantic, one of the more romantic songs you'd say that isn't too, would be Bodies. And you go on a cute thing. He starts it off with, "I got so fucking romantic, I apologize, let me light your cigarette," which is like coming from Bodies. He's like, "Oh, my bad, I just got too romantic," which I think is so cool.
Yeah, I thought,
Yeah.
I wrote literally lyric buddies. I got so fucking romantic, I apologize.
Yeah.
Like, I get that so much where I'm just like, I totally like love bomb my partner. And he's like, can you not?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you rein it in just a little bit? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's.
But also in your scenario, like it's at least fiance engaged, so love bomb
Yeah.
isn't so bad. Whereas I feel like with him, it's sometimes might be he's going way in on a relationship that the
100%,
person's like just getting started on, sort of thing. Like it's
But then he also sings, he died with an explosion of mixed media and poorly written reviews.
Yeah, lyric buddies on that one too.
Yeah, and I thought that was really awesome. It's just like he's
That's
already, by 19, with his prolific catalogue, he's already so fucking jaded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he goes, and some stammering drunk who tried to tell him how good his shit was. This is some good shit, man.
Yeah.
Like
I love
he's
that
already
line.
he's already sick of his audience. He's already like not
Sick
playing
of the
shows.
industry,
Like it's
and-
So Cute Thing also references Anna from They Might Be Giants, which is always cool to see a They Might Be Giants reference.
Yeah, because They Might Be Giants are really fun, and
Yeah.
they write songs for adults and kids.
Yes, but they're like that thing of like, oh, he might be, do we get that vibe from him that he's too nerdy, he's too cool for school, sort of stuff. But then he's just like, no, I like this fun band called called They Might Be Giants, and they're part of his history that he's drawing off to make these crazy songs.
Because it pairs back to the opening, just electric guitar and vocals, and then there's a rolling outro as well in Cute Thing. And that's only like 3 minutes 39, so that's
Cute Thing's 5:39. Yeah,
so it's my
no.
handwriting.
Yeah. That's why.
5:39.
That's definitely why I type my notes, because
Yeah, you
who
type your
knows
notes.
what I would get.
I know.
You had a quote for us?
Yeah, similar to that thing in Cute Thing where he says, that's some good shit, man, is where he does in Teens Denial, which is destroyed by hippie flowers, the first song I got into, is in verse 2 he said, that guy I kinda hate is here, should not have had that last. Then he pauses, he goes, whoa, hit a DMT, where it's kind of like he's in the moment and he's just had this like hit of DMT. And I think those little things that he puts in where he kind of almost is playing a character in the songs
And
to
he's
some degree.
he's like 18 when he writes that. Like,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Oh,
Like,
insane. It just like,
he's just
the-
like,
the
man,
way
I'm
he
gonna
says
have
it,
like an
yeah.
experience where I'm at one with the world with drugs
Yeah.
for like 10
Yeah,
minutes
that's
max.
the thing. It's like Destroyed by Hippie Powers, like to me, is like, I don't think there's any song that better encapsulates what it's like to just be way too fucked up on like drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he wrote it like as young as he was is like so concerning.
and yeah, just the way he says it, like
Yeah.
purposely doing that line, going like, whoa, hit a D, just like, it adds so much to it.
So you've not heard many of our episodes, however, I started clubbing when I was 13. So him talking about that at 18 is just like, really? That old?
Rookie errors.
Yeah, like, man, you should have been hanging around with me.
My mum could be listening, so I think I started drinking 21 about 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, of course you were. Like, I've not seen a drop of anything but water pass your lips.
So
That is actually true.
also, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that actually is true.
I
Sorry,
really
Mum.
like Nervous Young Inhumans.
Yes.
Right, yeah,
thank
great.
you.
It's like opens with like rock and synths and all that sort of stuff, and then but just ending like with I think it was a spoken word piece at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
I'm
that
a-
part.
I am a good person. I am a powerful person. I don't believe in evil. I think that evil is an idea created by others to avoid dealing with their own nature. I understand my own nature. Good and evil have nothing to do with it. I understand.
Yeah, it's so
Absolutely.
good.
And again, it's like fucking 17-year-olds. Are
Yeah,
you serious?
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It kind of,
He also says, why are you so tense? You gotta start singing with love in your heart. Like, give yourself a break, dude. You've put out 4 albums in a year.
Yeah.
Like, you put your, like, which is why I had the cursive reference. Because, like, he is so, like, heart on his sleeve, but introspective, and also calls out to the audience to say, like, or to other people to say, you wrote this about me, you said that about me, blah, 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 blah. And, like, talks about how art is hard and stuff. And it just really reminded me of, like, that kind of thing. Like, he's having the words, like, in Sober to Death. Can I mention in Sober to Death? So in Sober to Death, this really hit me. So he's got an acoustic guitar and an acoustic bass. I wasn't sure if the guitar was a 12-string, but he's got sultry vocals. But in the background, there's like, oh, no, no, oh, no, no, in the background. But then suddenly, lyrics come up with every conversation just ends with you screaming, not even words, just oh,
yeah.
And then I was like, we've been listening to these like the happy little O's and R's.
Yeah.
And then he brings it into
Starts
the
it.
lyrics, and it's like, oh, you brother.
And yeah, I'd say Sober to Death almost has some of the more...
That was the one that you talked about. We were wrecks before we crashed into each
Yeah,
other.
we were wrecked before we crashed into each other, which almost,
is great.
at the beginning of this album, you haven't... I guess Beast Life and Death still had some of those themes, but there's still a little bit of hope for the love at this point. But then obviously as it continues to go on, you kind of see it's not very healthy. And I think he realizes that towards the end.
Yeah. Cool. We're about out of time. So any other final thoughts before we throw to the boys for a final pitch, or anything you guys want to say? It feels like the way he's written this album, we could do another 2 hours just talking about all the individual songs and all the individual pieces. But
We need to, because it's over an hour long anyway.
yes, that's right. Yeah. So we can if we can keep the podcast under an hour, we'll still be shorter than the album it's
Okay.
about. So
Okay, I'll
did
do
you
it
guys?
quick.
No. we still got 15 minutes for that. That's all good. Yeah. Any final thoughts from you guys, or anything we haven't talked about already?
No, yeah. I'm
All good. Cool.
Yeah.
We didn't go into a lot. He's also got massive daddy issues as well. I definitely think, which comes out I think more in Teens of Denial than does it. This one's more about the romantic relationship stuff, whereas
he's
that
been
one
through
is
a lot.
is
used to be a furry as well.
Yeah.
That's a whole other tangent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So if
I do love how a lot of this album is very written from a queer perspective. There's been no I'm not sure of Will's sexuality. He's never come out and said anything, which doesn't matter. But I do think this album is young queer love, not just teenage love in general. It's just this behemoth is what it feels like in the moment as well. And sometimes unhealthy, as you'll find in some of the lyrics.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't think he shies away from it's written from a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
and sometimes 17-year-olds think fucked up things, and because they haven't got that maturity to know, to know better.
Yeah,
and I don't think he hides that at all either. I think there's some stuff in here about himself that he really. But then again, we talked about before is that level of this is what I feel and this is how I feel about what I feel, and where he talks about it's not depression and all that sort of stuff. So really clued in.
Yeah,
for a 17-year-old.
100%.
All right, guys, did you want to give us your final pitch on why Teens of Denial, the second version, Twin Fantasy, the second version, I'm getting my album names mixed up, is flawless?
I just think that at any point on the album, you could just take a snippet, and that snippet, it has a high probability of being some of the best lyrics you've ever heard. And I just think that combined with the top tier production it has just makes it one of the best listens that I can think of, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things, because with a lot of songwriters, you'll say their songs are relatively vague, so it's up for interpretation. So a lot of people find it easier to connect with. It's one of my favorite songs, Love Song by The Cure. I feel like that, well, not necessarily vague, but they're very open lyrics, and a lot of people can relate to those feelings. But a lot of these songs, especially on Twin Fantasy more so, the lyrics are so specific. But I think the specificness and the honesty is what kind of makes it so relatable. So for me, it's just, as Connor said, the songwriting on it is incredible, and I think it's the perfect, not the imperfect love story of what teenage love.
This could be a hot take, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Will Toledo, no one better encapsulates the feeling of just being a really fucking sad 20-year-old than Will Toledo.
Yeah, and just not necessarily being a bit of a loser.
And being a bit overwhelmed by that as well. The constant. Cool, awesome. George,
Hi.
final thoughts, and preferably not a 16-minute song to go with them, but thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Oh, should I go get my guitar?
Yeah.
No. I'm genuinely exhausted right now from just talking about this album. And there are so many lyrics I didn't get to, and my handwriting is really bad, so I wasn't able to get to some of them because I literally couldn't read them, which is great. But you mentioned that he's a great lyricist, and I would agree. And I'd also say his maturity is unbridled with a lot of musicians of his age. All musicians 10 years older. No, in fact, I'd say some musicians in general, they have not got that maturity and introspection to look at a situation and play it out in a song where you are dealing with complicated issues, you are dealing with complicated emotions, but you're having a fucking blast listening to it. And that's what I found, like, the dichotomy of it was I was really enjoying listening to this album. But I was, like, doing the deep dive and going, wow, what did he just say?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I didn't need to because his diction is amazing. So, like, I didn't even need to, but I'm just like, when he's saying, like, I'm not insane, I don't want to be schizophrenic. And I was just like thinking, like, oh man, I've been there. Like, I've been so depressed. I hope it's nothing worse and stuff. But sometimes I didn't get there until years later. Writing these songs, the 2-minute songs versus the 16-minute songs is an accolade. To be able to know when to finish is a really important thing. Like, to know when a song is complete, it has its beginning, middle, end, maybe 3 times over, but it still has them. But actually knowing that that song, Stop Smoking, could be a 4-minute acoustic guitar song where he writes all the different reasons why you should stop smoking in a particular way. But he didn't. He did repeating lyrics of the title in under 1 minute 30. And yet he brought out one of my new favourite songs of all time, Beach Life in Death, which is 13 minutes 18 long. What a fucking tune! Oh my god!
That's what
like,
I'm talking about.
I'm getting keen to go and listen to
Yeah,
it.
I'm putting it on the drive home. Yeah,
So
it's a 15-minute trip home to Normandy.
perfect,
We're on.
perfect.
Yeah.
you're going on a longer trip, so you should just start playing it on your phone out loud, like as you're walking down the street. Other people will just be like, "What is that?" And you'll be like, "Hey, I'm in the valley. This is okay." So, but yeah, so Beach Life in Death, my dread was completely undone because I was just like, motherfucker, this is such a good song. So I got really excited. So basically, I could talk about the instruments, I could talk about song lyrics, I could talk about the composition, and I could talk about it all ad nauseum, but I'm not going to because it's a flawless album. I'm genuinely pleased that you guys brought this album to me because, quite frankly, I'm going to listen to it so many more times. Like, when we first started listening to this to record weeks ago, I got really excited about it and then got really sad that we had to keep cancelling. But then got really excited that I got to keep listening to it to refreshing my mind again and again and again. So it's just going to be in the catalogue of music that I listen to with joy, and I'm going to pretend that I heard it on some sampler Matador records in 2018 and not some 23-year-old musicians in Brisbane. So thank you. Flawless record. Thanks, guys. Liam,
Hello.
it's over to you.
Over to me. I was so excited when you dropped this in the chat because I know the band quite well, and I knew the history of this album, and I knew a lot of his history. And it's just, that idea of, maybe we couldn't do this album because it's a rip. It's like, no, I want to have this conversation because they're a fascinating band and he's a fascinating person to talk about.
Yeah.
So I was like, we got to have it. It's going to be great. Yeah, listening through it, love, like, so many of the songs. He's an amazing lyricist, amazing performer, and that idea, like, he's surrounded himself now with people who can probably play up to his standard, which is really great. So he's found 3 other guys who can play up to his level, which is really fantastic. The problem is, my favorite phrase, it's too much as a whole. So you mentioned before you can take a snapshot of any part and you'll get an awesome thing. And that's what I can do. I can listen to any one song on this, or 2 songs maybe, and like, these are really cool. But I struggle to listen to the whole thing from beginning to end. And normally what we do in these scenarios is like, this is what I'd do differently. You can't do that with him because this is stuff that he's obviously put a lot of thought into. And I would love to have nominated Teens of Denial, but it's the same thing. Like, it's just so much. And then Ballad of Costa Concordia should be the last song, but there's like 2 more long songs after it. And this one was the same, like, so Famous Prophet Stars, either should be the last song, or like it opens really well with like a really short, like simple idea song, and then the big one. Whereas it ends with a 16-minute song and then a 7-minute song after it, and it was just, it's all like, we talked in about that idea of like, you can have really short songs, one idea per song, get in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, get out, you're all good. Or you can have songs that have like lots of different ideas and they're like 7-minute songs. But if you're going to do that, you've got to have less of them if you want me to listen to it all in one go. So I love it. I adored listening to it, and it's really, really cool. But I wouldn't call it flawless because it would be so rare for me to actually sit down and listen to the whole thing from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So,
Very
but
fair,
I, it's like I wouldn't skip any of it. I would just get to a point where I would go, okay, I've got to stop now because I've been doing this for an hour and it's still got 20 minutes to go. And loved it.
11
Yeah,
minutes.
11 minutes to
Come
go.
on,
So
For the,
giving us truth.
for the listeners at home, we're actually on a ship right now out in the Atlantic Ocean. We're on a plank, and unfortunately, we haven't got the flawless. So if you don't hear from me in a couple of weeks,
yeah.
It's sorry, that's what we do to you guys. But you get my smile as you go out because I gave you a flawless.
we only
So,
came
yeah.
we only
We'll
came for
take it,
George's
yeah.
flawless anyway.
There you go.
Lee, I didn't even know
So,
Lee
yeah.
was coming.
So yeah, thank you so much for bringing the album. That was a really great
Oh, no
chat.
worries at all.
Thank you,
People can
guys.
find you on Facebook, social media, all that sort of stuff. Mount Nadir.
And I'm nearly 40, so it's definitely my bedtime.
Yes, yes. So yeah, thank you for coming, and we want to thank everyone for listening. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we are Flawless AMP on all of those. So you can join the conversation, share or like our posts, or give us a rating. Every little bit helps us find more music lovers like you. As mentioned, we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/flawlessamp. If you'd like to back us, please check that out. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.